Okay, now I'd like to continue talking about the controls of the game Dark Void. Now, the controls are fairly simple. When you're on the ground, you're able to freely control the camera with the right analog stick. Okay, so you can do everything. You can rotate the camera, you can zoom in and out, pan left and right, all that good stuff. Also, when you're on the ground, you have your basic controls like, aim, I think is R1 or L1. And then you have your trigger button, which I think is R2 or L2, or right trigger, left trigger, one of those. Depending on if you're playing on PS3 or if you're playing on 360. But I'm talking about the 360 version. So the controls are very similar to other games. You have your B button for melee. I think X reloads. You have a jump button. You have a sprint. Sprinting is going to be important because you're going to be getting shot at a lot. You'll need to run to the next cover position or just anywhere where you can get away from the enemies. Okay, then you have the jump button. Not really that important, except that you have to jump before you can hover. So if you have your jetpack, you jump and then you jump with the A button and you press A again to hover. And then from hover you can press Y to ignite the jetpack and take off. You're actually flying then. So when you're hovering, you're actually just kind of, drifting downward really slowly. You're in a vertical position though. But when you actually start flying, you press the Y button, you go into a horizontal position. So, if that makes sense. You can, however, fly straight up and straight down. But you have to arc yourself by using the right analog stick. I'm sorry, the left analog stick. The left analog stick controls all your movements. Now, when you're flying, when you're actually in that free flight mode, you're not able to control the camera. Like, you can control the camera when you're hovering, but not when you're flying. The camera is very zoomed in. And unfortunately, it's so zoomed in that you really won't be able to see anything except yourself. Well, you can kind of see what's in front of you, like way up in the distance. You can't see what's directly in front of you very well because your character is so big and it's blocking your view. You can't really see what's to your left or right either unless it's way in front of you. And then you can't see what's below you or behind you or even above you. So it's a real problem that the camera's just too zoomed in. Now you can press and hold the LB button, which kind of zooms out. It's called flight view, but it's not that much better. I mean, the problem is that you also have to hold another button while, using the right analog stick to aim your crosshair, or you have to use another hand or another finger to hold down the fire button to fire the machine guns on your jetpack, and use the X button to brake when you're flying, and use the Y button to boost, and the A to hover. So there's just a whole lot of buttons you have to press at the same time or hold, and it gets really complicated. So it doesn't really make sense to hold down the LB button. There also is another button that you can hold to look at the closest enemy, the enemy nearest to you. But if you're doing that, chances are you're not really seeing what's in front of you. You're not seeing where you're flying, so you're probably going to crash into something. So it's more like a quick view. You just tap the button to see it. But the controls when you're flying are very confusing and awkward. It's just not fun to have to do something complicated while you're flying. While like air combat can get really frustrating, especially if there's a whole bunch of enemies nearby. You're gonna get shot like crazy if you're just flying in one direction. Oh yeah, there's something you can do. You can spiral using the right analog stick. You can spiral while flying to kind of evade the fire of enemies, but it doesn't work that well. It screws up the camera, and the problem with this game is mostly just the controls. The controls are pretty bad that way. You know, you have to really arc yourself hard to go up or down. And it's really weird. Like, it's like taking a really sharp turn and not knowing what's around the corner. Like, you'll usually just fly smack into a wall and instantly kill yourself. So the controls aren't very good. I have to give them like a 4 out of 10, or like a maybe even a 3.5 out of 10. They're pretty bad. All right, stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to be talking about the difficulty factor and also the actual length of the game. So thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned.